Welcome back to Sunrise, and thanks for staying with us as we continue this Friday morning on our issue of the week. We look at drug use in our communities. It is rife and affecting our families, schools, and every other faction in our lives. Now, the fight to combat this pandemic continues every day and needs every one of us to do our part. Now, last Wednesday was Drug Awareness, was last day of Drug Awareness Week throughout the country. Now, this morning we take a look at the abuse of drugs and what could be the solution. To elaborate more on the issue, we are joined by Clara Monnakgotla from the South African Council of Alcoholism and Drug Dependence, that's SANCA, and also recovering addict Naledi Masimini. In the You at Home can be part of our conversation by giving us a call on 011-447-1742 or 011-447-1620. So we can share your thoughts, and alternatively, you can leave those comments on our Facebook as well as Twitter pages. Now, good morning to you, ladies, and thanks for joining us. It's just getting shocking. They're saying an average age of experimentation in South Africa is 12, and the number is decreasing because we're finding ourselves with, especially in Gauteng, with children as young as 9 years old who are on treatment, and the oldest person being 82. And at the same time, the proportion of patients aged between 10 and 19 increased to 29%. So the big question is, why are things like this? And this report is as recent as March, which is just a couple of months ago, according to the South African Community Epidemiology Network of Drug Use Report. These numbers are looking alarming, and it's worrying. I have a 12-year-old. I'm thinking, what do you mean, 9-year-olds are on treatment and on drugs? How did we get to the situation?
Thank you for your question. The thing is that as SANCA, we have realized that there's so many social ills that are happening in our communities. And remember that the trends are changing from year to year. There's so many trends that are coming up. And then the issue of accessibility of drugs, that's the problem that we are seeing in our communities. And also remember that we are coming from families, we are coming from our own families. We think that our young people, they think they have all that freedom to be able to exercise it, then hence you see the alarming or the increasing rate of substances in our communities. It's not only the illegal drugs that we see our young people using, but we also have an increased rate of young people abusing the socially acceptable drugs like your alcohol and cigarettes. This is quite increasing lately. So that is the reason why. And another thing is that the issue of behavioral problems, the issue of the environment, the issue of the social factors. These are some of the risks that we are seeing that are leading our young people to be using substances, and the numbers increasing.
Okay, so we've invited a young person who is a recovering addict to come and be part of our conversation, Naledi Masimini. You are 28 years old currently, so just sort of take us through, when did you first experiment with drugs? How old were you when you recall?
I was 13 years. I was 36. Yeah. Started by having fun.
What did you start with?
With the Mendrax.
With Mendrax.
Yeah. And then when time gone by, then I used rock. So after rock, it was like I couldn't sleep. I had
so rock
to be
is heroin, eh?
No, it's crack.
It's crack.
crack.
Oh,
Yeah,
crack.
it's
Okay.
crack, yes.
And then there's a time whereby you can't sleep at night, and then doing stuff like end up selling your body for drugs.
How did you come across the Mendrax? Was it because one of the things that it says that in schools, young people are exposed and they have more access to these illicit drugs, cocaine, heroin, Mendrax. In schools, learners are all exposed. How did that happen? How did you get exposed to these drugs?
My friends, when I started dating the purple person, yeah.
Your boyfriend?
My boyfriend was older than me, so when he rejected me, I got a miscarriage by his son. And then said I did an abortion, rejected me, and then started consoling myself with the drug.
Okay, so it was sort of like trying to numb your pain or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so the access to drugs in school, why is it on such a rise? Because that's what the numbers are saying, that they have more access to the drugs in schools.
Yeah, the thing is that you remember that the market for the dealer, it's young people, because they know that we as parents, we are able to give our children anything that they want. If they want money for school, we won't even like make a follow-up as parents. That is why I'm saying that sometimes our background is the one that is a contributory factor to the use of substances, and also us as parents not making follow-up or even have time with our children. So that is the reason why. So the issue of security systems, you find that in the schools, the security, it's only one security guard, and they don't have policies that are supposed to, like policies like search and seizures of school children. So you find that they can be doing that. Sometimes drugs are being used even outside the premises of schools. And then because the market, the person who wants to target is targeting young people because they know that they want to experiment, they want to belong, they are curious, you know, they want to test everything. And they think that it's a good thing to do. They want to feel cool also because they introduce those drugs to each other.
Well, we are the highest, you know, in terms of like compared to the continent, says, and there is a resurgence or a return of mandrakes in our schools all of a sudden. Currently, trends are saying that the age has dropped. I've spoken about that. About 12% of South African learners are reported to have used these drugs. How has that affected your mandate as a SANCA over the years?
You know what is happening? SANCA has been there for over 60 years, and then some of the SANCAs more than that, other societies. But the national office, we are trying our level best to improve on our treatment model to be able to accommodate each and every individual in terms of, because it's all about individuals coming with different systems and different cases for substance use disorder. Remember that all these other drugs, we must be updated. We are meeting the global standard of making sure that we are upfront in terms of knowing which type of drug and what is the correct treatment for each and every individual. Because there's a difference in terms of which medical treatment you need to provide for each and every individual.
Okay, so Naledi, how long did you use drugs for? How long were you? Throughout your high school? How long?
I used at high school, but I stopped when I finished my
matric.
Yes, and then on 2009, that's when I started regularly.
Okay, so you spoke about how because you were heartbroken and you had these challenges with your boyfriend, you started using. But I mean, some of your friends that you were with, why do you think they got into drugs?
I think maybe never fit
in.
Yeah, because of most of my friends did like me. So whenever I will take something and then whenever I experiment or I want to try this. Yeah. And then others, they never shared. I'm not that kind of person who liked to share before. So I didn't mind about others, or just said you'll feel good, you live your life to the fullest. Yeah.